Hey everyone! We are so close to creating our first project on this channel, but before we begin, I thought it would be great to show you all some key essential items that you should have in your sewing kit before you cut into any pattern. So, without further ado, let's get started! The first essential item includes scissors, and I have 3 scissors and they all serve 3 different purposes. The middle scissors, the scissors right here, is for fabric only. I do not use these scissors to cut out patterns. I don't use the scissors for anything but fabric, and the reason is if you use these scissors to cut out anything that is not fabric, it's not going to be as sharp, and you want your fabric scissors to be the sharpest scissors that you have in your kit. I also have regular scissors that I use to cut out patterns, and also these little craft scissors to cut out just little end threads. And also, as a bonus, you can also use a rotary cutter to cut out different patterns if you like. And I use my rotary cutter for pretty much everything. I use it to cut out my patterns. I use it to cut out my fabric with my patterns. I use it for anything and everything. It makes the process super fast, so that's why I really like it. The second essential item would be our measuring tools, and the first one is our measuring tape. If you watched our previous video, you would know that you need your measuring tape to take different measurements around your body, but also you need a seam gauge, and this is a seam gauge. It's just a 6-inch ruler, and it's pretty accurate. It's really used for like accurate measurements. I pretty much consider this to be the seamstress version of a caliper. And I use this tool for hemming mostly, but I also use this tool for anything that I need to get accurate measurements for. For instance, I use this to measure my buttons sometimes before creating buttonholes on my fabric. And the next essential item would have to be our marking tools. The first would have to be just regular marking pencils, and these are, just consider this regular pencils that you use for paper, but they're the fabric version of that. And there's also a fabric eraser. So these marking pencils are washable, and they're water soluble. So if you wash them, or even if you use an eraser, it'll come out as well. And also with our marking tools, we also have our tracing paper. And with tracing paper, it allows us to transfer any markings that we need to know of, such as darts, such as pleats, such as anything, those types of markings, we can transfer it with the tracing wheel and pattern paper onto the fabric. Even though we are using a sewing machine, it's also great to have just hand sewing tools on hand. These are just basic needle and threads that I just get from anything basically, but just having these on hand because you never know when you need to hand sew anything. Some projects you can't really use your sewing machine for, so some parts of a project, to be specific, you can't really use your sewing machine for, so just having some basic hand sewing tools is also great to just have. And last but not least are pins. And I have a bunch of pins. Usually people have their pins on a pin cushion, but I don't really like using my pins on a pin cushion. But there's different pins that you'll find, and if you purchase a starter kit, you'll usually find, and I lost it. You'll usually find a pin that is this tiny, and these pins are great, but they're not necessarily recommended. I would recommend you all purchase pins that look like this, and these have glass tops. So when you iron or whenever you're pressing your fabric, you'll be able to not have your pins melt. Thank you all for watching my video. We have one more sewing basic video coming out next week, and then after that we are ready to sew. I'm so excited for our first project. Our first project will be a skirt, and one more sewing essential that is very important is the seam ripper. The seam ripper helps you unpick a seam if you messed up. Also, I kind of consider this to be a magic eraser, because let's say you don't think your line is straight, you can easily unpick that seam and redo it like nothing ever happened. So I'll see you all next week. Take care.